Hello, I'm Valkyria. I'm a digital illustrator and I used to struggle with being confident in my art because I kept comparing my art with others. But now I found a way to turn that comparison into my greatest way of learning. And I want to share it with you. In the background, I'll be drawing fan art of Hongjung, and if you like it, you can always get it in the link in the description down below. Now, back to the video. When you look for art advice in the internet, a lot of times we see things like don't compare yourself to other artists, they have a different journey, and it's a good advice, but it's actually very hard to implement because we are constantly comparing ourselves with others, and actually I learned to compare myself with others all the time, so I really know that struggle. It's easy to say, very hard to execute. And because of that comparison, I used to think my art will never be like theirs. My art will never be enough. I will never be enough. And all those intrusive thoughts that I'm pretty sure all of us had in some point of our art career. And I'm calling it my art career because I really want to make art my career. So, manifesting. Whenever I heard people say, don't compare your art with others, each person has their own journey. And yeah, I mean, it's true. But I have absolutely no idea how to stop that voice in my head telling me that their art was better and that mine will never be like that. Because they were right, till some extent. My art will never be like theirs because that's their art, not mine. And the part that it's better, like, art is so subjective, so I think they're better in a certain aspect, maybe, but and I'm not saying this to sound egocentrical, but each artist has their strong points and their weak points. We all do. And it's so subjective that probably what you think it's my strong suit, I'll probably think it's my weak point. And I know this might sound a bit out of nowhere, but I promise it's an important part of this method that I figure out to improve my art skills while comparing my art with others. For me, the first step was to make a difference between me and my art. I am not my art. So even if I don't like it, it doesn't make me worthless or useless. And that's a long journey. And something that actually has helped me a lot with that is to have different hobbies. I dance, I cook, well, I'm learning to cook, I write, I read, and I do a lot of other things outside of drawing. Right now, a decent part of that is job hunting and looking for clients. And understanding that we are the union of a lot of things that make us us. Not only one particular thing we enjoy. I actually struggle more with separating myself from my dance than from my art. But that's a problem for another day. Keeping that separation in mind, let's move to the next steps. I learned to take comparison as my north, as my guide to know what I want to work on next. For me, this starts with some questions. Is this an art style I would like for myself? There are tons of art styles out there, but I'm not into all of us. And sometimes I love an art style, but I don't really see myself doing something like that. Lineless art, highly rendered, hyper-realistic kind of stuff is not something I enjoy doing. I love seeing that kind of art, and a lot of artists I follow and admire do it. But for me personally, no. I don't see myself doing that kind of art, so just from there, I know that's the kind of art that I'll admire from afar and that I'm not gonna try to replicate. This doesn't mean I can't learn anything from those artists. I can look at their compositions, their proportions, their use of color, how they market themselves on social media, their process, etc. I still can learn a lot, but I know I'm not gonna try to learn how they render or the realism aspect of their art. And that's the key. Focus. Every artist can teach us something, but not everything. Take what you want to replicate from others. Sometimes I obsess over one artist and want to replicate everything about them. But I understand that I need to focus on one or two things. Let's say I love the way they draw eyes and noses, for example. So I'll try to copy it to the best of my abilities and incorporate it into my art style. Even if I manage to copy that aspect of their art perfectly, which never happens, but the way, at least not to me, since the rest of the style comes from other sources, nobody will notice. I am doing what we call stealing like an artist, and also I am focusing. In this example, I am focusing on improving the way I draw eyes and noses. This way, I move from using comparison as a way to hurt myself to a guide to know what to work on next. I think comparing ourselves to others is tricky. It can go wrong way too fast, but taking specific aspects of our art and seeing it as an opportunity to improve, it's a whole different world. At least, that's what worked for me. After a few months of implementing it, I managed to cut a bit of my imposter syndrome and bad feelings about my art. And this technique actually helps a lot with other aspects of life, like trying to understand why do you want to be that person on Instagram? Do you want to be them? Or do you want to travel like they do? Or do you want to have a lot of fans or do music? I don't know. Only you know the answer. Do you think it could help you? Let me know down in the comments and I see you in the next video. Bye!